Built on 25 years of dominance, Adidas has just unveiled the 14th iteration of the Barricade tennis shoes, and this one is all about control.
The new Barricade is lighter, more stable, and for the first time in tennis, features a light traction outsole.
That patterned light traction outsole improves traction and durability, while making the shoe lighter than the previous model, a huge win for modern baseline battles.
And underfoot, a major upgrade. Light Strike Pro foam in the forefoot delivers improved energy return and a more explosive push-off. The first time it's ever been used in an Adidas tennis shoe.
In the heel, you've got Repetitor foam paired with new stability chassis, absorbing heavy impact and keeping you locked in during aggressive moments.
Fit and comfort also level up. A new last improves midfoot support, and increased toe spring promotes a dynamic stance, and a cushioned collar and tongue keep you secure and agile.
The classic white and black colourway stays true to Barricade heritage, clean, versatile and built for the modern game.
Premiering at the start of 2026 season, the Barricade will be worn by Kasatkina, Mukova, Tsitsipas, Auger-Aliassime and many more.
Priced at $170, is available now in women's sizes UK 3.5 to 10 and men's sizes in the UK 6 to 15.
Shop now at adidas.co.uk/tennis shoe or via the Adidas app.
The new Adidas Barricade, built on legacy, designed for control.
What's up, guys? This is Ben Shelton.
Hey guys, I'm Chris Eubanks, and welcome to the Chip and Charge Tennis Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Chip and Charge Tennis Podcast. I am Kyle Babbage and I am joined with my co-host Nicholas Morel.
Yeah, Carl, it's our Australian Open round 3 catch-up. We've got a lot of, well, I mean, not any major upsets. Like we continue to say at the start of every single one of our episodes so far, the 2026 coverage of the Australian Open. But we've had a lot of intrigue, I think it's fair to say, in the last few days, especially on the men's side of things. With, I think, where we should probably start Carl, today, Day 7, Jannik Sinner in a seriously dicey position over on the Rod Laver Arena. This was a day session match. Obviously today, a thing we have to kind of preface with everything we talk about today is that it was an absolute scorcher at Melbourne Park. Temperatures exceeded 40 degrees Celsius. It was, really difficult conditions out there for the players. Loads of players were struggling, but one of the players that was struggling most out of anyone was Jannik Sinner, the second seed, the favourite to get to the final, perhaps even the favourite to win the title. And he was in serious trouble. He lost the first set 4-6 to Elliot Spitzeri. He won the next 3, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4. But Carl, I think really
Arduous.
I mean, Sinner was absolutely saved by this heat rule, which took them, they had a break. The roof went on, the aircon got flowing through the stadium, and suddenly, slowly but surely, Sinner worked his way back into this match and was never convincing. But he did what he had to do to get through. And look, yes. Elliot Spitzeri clearly was a player that is so used to playing in these conditions. He's from Florida. He said he was feeling fresh, physically, unbothered. He comes from the college system. That's what you have to deal with. Sinner, we know from so many times now, he is not used to, and he's not expected. He's not, he doesn't know how to really, acclimatise his body to these really difficult situations physically, where the heat is really difficult. And yeah, I mean, Sinner really struggling with cramping in his calf. Then it came through to pretty much his whole body, his leg. He was, I think without that heat rule, perhaps we're looking at a situation where Sinner withdrew in that third set. Perhaps we're looking at a situation where we have no Sinner left in this tournament, and the whole tournament is thrown up on its head, and we're looking at a completely different prospect for the Australian Open, Carl.
Yeah, I feel like that rule 100% definitely saved him, because that's more of a kind of a newer age thing that they've obviously introduced in the past few years, where if it exceedingly gets way too hot and the players can't really cope with it, because you've seen it a lot in the European and Asian countries, maybe not so much European, but the Asian countries last year. Saw it in again this time Australia, and even in US as well, there was a lot of places that were just scorching, humid, no wind, just pure heat, and it takes such a toll on your body, especially if you're someone from Italy, which is naturally a lot colder most of the year round, and yeah, the temperatures never really get that high. But no, Sinner really made his way back into it after the break, and he got he got back onto his feet. He did what he did best. He calmed down. Obviously, talked to his team. Had to kind of recover a little bit, but he made the best of the worst situation, I'd say. And yeah, overall, not too much to point out on it other than that he had a rough start and had to come back to really push this guy to the max. And yeah, it did go 4 sets, so it's obviously his closest one so far. So if he had to push out a lot of energy there, we don't know how he's going to do throughout the next few rounds. Let's hope that he can find a better way to recover and kind of adjust his body to the heat now that he's played, like, 3 matches. And yeah, I feel that over the next few days it might be a lot harder, or hopefully he'll be able to recover as best as he can. But yes, Sinner is through, Nick. It's a very interesting one. That one was 100% good watch.
Yeah, and I mean, from the Sinner perspective of these injuries and these physical issues,
Yeah,
I mean, it's being a consistent, reoccurring issue for Sinner. This
yeah,
time last year against Holger Rune, I think it was in the fourth round, like in the day session, extreme heat, again cramped, and again looked like he was on the ropes, but somehow found a way to come through it. But there have been times where Sinner has not found a way to come through it. Shanghai this year, when it was the humidity was off the scale, when it was extremely hot. Talon, he retired against Talon Griekspoor after cramping. Like, he's cramped so many times, Jannik Sinner. Sometimes when it's been, he's been under pressure, nervous, but also because of physical conditions and because of
yes,
the conditions on court in terms of the heat, humidity, lack of wind, etc. And like, okay, there is a point to it where you go, okay, I'm just not used to be playing in these conditions. There's not a lot I can do about it. But like, there is this point where I think you have to go. It's one of the things that's holding me back a bit. That this lack of his lack of ability to adapt to these scenarios, and his consistent cramping whenever the conditions become a little bit too hot and
yeah,
humid. And look, he said he's been practicing in Dubai and in the Middle East, over the off season, to try and acclimatise and get used to training and competing and hitting in those extreme conditions. But it's clear that it's not really having an effect. And yeah, I mean, we can't always just. I mean, I think we have to. There has to be a point where we go, like, this is like what he needs to work on. And I don't know how he does it. Maybe he goes to Australia very early next season, just compete, trains out there the whole time. And
yeah,
I mean, it was just like Elliot Spitzeri, and his opponent on the other end of the court, looked physically brilliant, and that was the difference between them, and that's why it was so close. And that's what Sinner could have, that's what could have got Sinner out of this tournament. And a lot of people have been saying, oh, this heat rule really saved Sinner. If it wasn't for this heat rule, Spitzeri would have had the biggest win of his life. And I probably think I would agree with those reports. I think Sinner probably would have retired in that third set if it wasn't for this heat rule. But again, I'm not going to blame the tournament for using that heat rule. I think it's brilliant that they're using a heat rule, because we
yeah,
don't want players
100%.
to be, on the
Falling
the.
unconscious.
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, people have been saying, well, just let them play in the conditions. That's the conditions of the court. But that is a rule, and the Heat exceeded that rule, and they implemented it. This is not Sinner bias from the tournament to implement it. We have to caveat everything with that. And yeah, perfectly within the rules, and yeah, really, really gave Sinner a lucky hand that rule was implemented,
Yeah.
and that it was put in place.
Well, yeah, now Nick, he's got another Italian. He's got Darderi, who actually beat Karen Khachanov, the 15th seed, just above him in another 4-set, very, very tight match. But yeah, that'll be played, obviously, not today, the day after. And I think it's going to be more of an even set match. Obviously, both players coming from Italy. It's going to be a better not a better time. It's just if it's gonna be hot, it's gonna be hot, and I think it's more of a mental thing. Both players come from the same background, so you'd think that it would be more of an even chance of whoever can deal with the heat the best, because they're both not too accustomed to playing in such hot conditions. But maybe Sinner more than Darderi. But I think it's going to be an interesting one to see if he can continue the recovery kind of process of it and what happens, because you just don't want him to flake. You don't want him to fall and start to really, just decline in his level. You want him to now, going into the round of 16, to really start playing his peak kind of tennis. And this is where you want to see him bring out all the stops and play his absolute best. And if he's getting hindered by the weather, that's the last thing you want as fans, and obviously as himself and his team as well. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how he copes with it, as obviously if he wins that, he's got either Ben Shelton or Casper Ruud, we'll go over soon. But
Yeah, and I think actually Darderi's a pretty good draw for Sinner in the fourth round. Like lots of the matches, every single player in the fourth round is a seed. Like that is the payoff that we've had with no upsets, no major intrigue in the first few rounds.
Yes.
We have got like one of the most tantalising end of slams like we've ever seen in recent years. And I think Darderi's a pretty good draw for Yannick Sinner. Like probably one of the best out of the bunch that have got through into the round of 16. Someone that won't hit him off the court, and I think Sinner will warm into that match. Look, it'll be interesting to see whether he plays in the day session again, because that could have a serious physical hindrance on him. But I reckon it will probably be put in the night session. But again, it'll be interesting to see. Darderi will definitely want to be played in the day session. Carl, we probably should talk about Novak Djokovic, who was also on the Rod Laver Arena later today against Baltic van der Zandschulp. 6-3, 6-4, 7-6 for Novak Djokovic in this match. 2 hours and 44 minutes. Carl, look, we've seen Djokovic in this tournament up until this point ruthless, efficient and effective, not giving away his opponents to anything, not giving his opponents anything away. Really kind of being very decisive and clinical, preserving energy for the last stages of this tournament. He wasn't that today. He looked a little bit annoyed, frustrated. He was boiling over throughout the whole of this match. There were lots of pockets of fans and support for Baltic van der Zandschulp, which really kind of annoyed Djokovic at times in this match, I think. And look, Djokovic had his support as well, and he was, I think he was very annoyed at times when when people in the crowd were shouting at him, or shouting in between, in the middle of points, in between first and second serves, putting him off, and he was very visibly annoyed with that, and he told the umpire John Blom to tell him to stop it, and he said, I have to be polite, and Djokovic basically said, don't be polite, you've got to be forceful, you've got to inflict that rule. He was clearly pretty annoyed out there. And that kind of accumulated into a pretty nasty incident, actually. I believe it was in the second set where Djokovic kind of teed off on a ball, which very narrowly missed a ball boy. Very narrowly missed. We're talking not far at all, like a hand, if that. Like a pretty fast ball as well. And that if that had hit the ball boy, I think that would have had serious damaging effects, and that could have
implications,
easily resulted in not only a default but actually like serious injury. And look, he got away absolutely fine. There was no ruling, that he didn't even get a code violation. He kind of walked away from that as if nothing had happened. But like, if that had been a couple of, if that had been a hand, to the left or to the right, Djokovic could easily have been out of this tournament. Yannick Sinner. If the degrees was one degree lower, Sinner would have been out of this tournament. If that ball that Djokovic struck was, like a hand's distance closer to the ball kid, then that would have been Djokovic out of this event. And like, he didn't get a co-violation, but I probably think there has to be a stricter measure on that ruling.
At least a warning or something.
Absolutely, because otherwise you can't have this player nearly, seriously injuring a ball kid and then getting away absolutely scot-free.
But then do you think it's the fact that it's Djokovic the umpire's like, even though he's done it before as well, the same thing's kind of happened. We don't want to mention too
He
much
has
of
done
it,
it
but
before. U.S. Open. I mean,
yes, we all know that, obviously, but you
but
don't
yeah.
want to.
I think there has to be a rule, a blanket rule. If you do something reckless that could have seriously, damaging implications, there has to be some sort of punishment. Even though you didn't hit the person, like you can't be going out to an
Yeah.
audience, a huge audience, loads of young fans. That can't be shown and just getting away with that. I mean, there has to
Yeah,
be
the
some sort of
condoned, yeah.
ruling, and yeah, okay, he didn't get defaulted. I don't think he should get defaulted if he didn't make contact, but some sort of a punishment. But overall, Carl, like Djokovic came through it, didn't look his very best. Van der Zandschulp played okay, played pretty good, but yeah, Djokovic did seem a little bit annoyed from the get go, and that kind of accumulated in that situation, pretty nasty situation, and then yeah, he did well to kind of finish that out in 3, because if that had gone into 4, then that really would have been like something Djokovic did not want, because he needs to preserve every single last drop of energy for the potential of an Alcaraz Sinner back to back in the semis and final to somehow win a 25th major, which looks like it's going to be. So.
Yeah, I just worry that this mentality might carry on into, the next rounds, as obviously he's still got, I don't want to say ways to go, but it's only the round of 16 that he's in now, and I fear that if his mentality isn't top notch and he isn't focused on the way that he's playing, you've got someone on the other side of the court. You've got Mensik, the 16th seed. He's been playing extremely well going into the round of 16, and I just don't feel that if you have that mentality, someone like that is going to capitalize on that, and he won't let you win the match in straight sets. I feel like someone like that, Mensik's now, he's really playing well, and he's come back to this year extremely strong in this tournament. So I think that if this carries on from Djokovic, the occasions with him bouncing the ball on his head and just silly things, and like you said, with the ball nearly hitting one of the ball kids, it's just these things just pile up, and then obviously people are going to ask him about it, interviews are going to happen, it's going to stick with him, he's going to stay getting more annoyed. Yes, he won the match, but the way you win the match is more about now what he thinks about. He wants to leave a legacy behind, and if it's not the one that he wants to leave behind, it's not going to be a good end for Djokovic. So we all love him, we all respect him, but I think just the things he needs to just change slightly, hopefully will come in these next few rounds.
Yeah, and he apologised in his press conference. He accepted full responsibility, which was a good thing to see. And yeah, definitely it was a kind of heat of the moment kind of thing, going out there on court. Yeah, a couple of other results. Margaret Court Arena had Ben Shelton, a very solid, comfortable win over Vachereau, just stepping up at the slams, unreal level. Yeah, exciting to see his next couple of matches.
Yeah.
I think he's got Rudd next.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
Rudd also got the win against Marin Cilic, 4 sets on that night session. Rudd's playing some great tennis. John Cain Arena saw Musetti 5-set win over Thomas Mahatch. He kind of did extremely well to kind of battle through that. Mahatch was playing well, but both of them struggling with the heat as well, I think, and it kind of did taint this whole day. But every single player had to kind of deal with difficult conditions, difficult environments on court, and they did very well, I think. And Wawrinka's final ever Australian Open match, Carl, against Taylor Fritz, the 9th seed, 6-7, 6-2, 4-6, 4-6 to Taylor Fritz. That is the end.
We had high hopes
of the dream run of Stan Wawrinka, but to be honest, I think he's very settled. He had beers at the end of this with Craig Tiley on court. I don't think this is a bad end. I think this is a fantastic way for Wawrinka to end his Australian Open career, and I think he acknowledged that as well. He was I just think very pleased to be out there. Darderi, like you said, Carl, 4-set win over Khachanov, and Menchik got a 3-set win over Ethan Quinn. Carl, any other results? I mean, any of those results that you want to kind of pick up on in terms of intrigue on day 7?
I don't think initially there's nothing that really struck me as insanely important match or something. I think we had some very good wins, and I don't think anything was too surprising. Like we said before, the seeds got through. It's what we wanted. It's becoming such a stacked round of 16, and then going into the
Yeah.
quarters as well. Whoever wins, it's going to be intense. It's going to be great, and it's going to just, push the opponents, push the bigger guys like Alcaraz, Sinner, probably Djokovic as well, to really get ahead of the game and put out their best tennis, because it's the first slam of the year. They really need to get something behind their backs and start the year off as best as they can. So I don't think there's much. Obviously, there wasn't many matches going on as the draws cutting in half every single time, every day. So yeah, I just think that it's a great point from everyone to see what they can do, and let's see what the day before has held for us as well, Nick.
Yeah, day 6 we should probably move on to, Colin. I think on the men's side of things, the place to start would be Daniel Medvedev, coming back from 2 sets to love down against Fabian Marozsan, reeling off the next 3 sets, 7-5, 6-love, 6-3. I think this match did get away from Marozsan in that third set, but then Medvedev played some phenomenal tennis to close out, 6-love, 6-3 in the latter two sets. And look at it wasn't a convincing win for Daniel Medvedev by any means. A 5-set win's never going to be a convincing win, but I think it did install a bit of confidence in me in the sense that Daniel Medvedev last year was 100% going to lose that match, probably in straight sets. But he found a way, he dug deep, something that he didn't, he was digging deep obviously last season, but he never ever came through that type of match. They were always the ones that would go tight, go into a 5th set, maybe go into a final set tiebreak, something like that. But more often than not, on so many occasions, come out losing that match. And yeah, I think really good to see him actually get one and get a couple now in this Australian Open. Coming back from a set down against Halis, coming back from two sets to love down against Marozsan. Not ideal in terms of energy preserving, but I think whilst it wasn't the best performance, I still think that it's a pretty good overall picture that Medvedev has painted in terms of the fact that he's kind of elevated his 2025 form into a new echelon here in 2026, and kind of really has moved on from that real slump and into kind of a new phase in 2026. And look, we'll have to see how long he can keep this going for. He's got Lerner TN next, which will be a tough match. That's tomorrow morning in the UK. Quite a nice time if you're in the UK to watch that one in the morning. But Tien obviously beat Borges very, very comfortable against Nuno Borges yesterday. So Tien's a tough draw. It's who he lost to last year at the Australian Open. But I think I would probably have Medvedev just about taking it.
Yeah, obviously you would, wouldn't you? But yeah,
no, without the bias, I think he would just about.
No, fair. I probably agree as well. And another thing that I'd like to mention about Medvedev is the fact that I've noticed when he's playing is the first 3 shots, including the serve and third ball. I think he's improved so much more drastically. He used to be one of those players that I wouldn't say grinded out the points, but he was still a very aggressive player. But also at the same time, he did like to just push them down, break them down, like what you see kind of Djokovic doing. But in this match he had 19 aces, Nick, and Marozsan didn't have any. So I think that really just puts into perspective. He did also have 10 double faults, but for the fact that he had such an increasingly amount of first serve points won as well, 65% first serve points won, and this really puts into perspective how much he's kind of changed over the course of hopefully this break that he's had. And now we're starting to see the stats, and we've always been talking about how these players haven't really changed much in their game over the winter break. But I think Medvedev, he's really putting something else out there, and he's changing it up, not just in the way that he was before. He's playing even better tennis. Obviously his level's risen, but also he's adding stuff like his big first serve. He's got a huge first serve. He's tall. He can make that count. Use a third ball to his advantage. He's winning so many of his service game points. So he won a lot more than obviously Marat yesterday. So that's what counts really. And if he can keep bringing that into his now round of 16 match against Tien, like you mentioned, I think he also, like we said, has the upper hand in this one, Nick. So should be a great go for Medvedev to really prove himself and see what he can do compared to last year. A great comparison to look at.
Yeah, that's interesting what you say there about his serve, because I actually think his serve has kind of fallen off. It fell off a bit of a cliff. I mean, his serve was like one of the biggest things in his game before he kind of had this significant drop in level and form, kind of 2024 period, where his serve was just becoming much less effective. And I think, yeah, it has become a bit better in the Australian Open. Certainly in this match, I think it was a lot better. It was firing more, but I still don't think it's quite back up to what it was when he was winning, the US Open, when he was being competitive
Winning
against
slams is different, yeah.
The big three. And yeah, I just think, it was strange how his serve kind of did drop dramatically, but it's good to see it slowly coming back in, because it was such a big part of his game. Obviously, we know he is such a, he's not such a defensive player, but he's a very solid, stays behind the baseline, just consistent, grinds his opponents down. But he did have a big serve, which kind of bucked that trend of his game, and like that was a big part of his game, kind of winning a lot of easy service games. He just rattled through service games and then suddenly put the pressure on his opponent, and that's kind of what he hasn't had. But it's good to see him slowly getting it kind of back in this tournament, and hopefully again against Tien, who's not got the greatest serve, so he can try and put some pressure on serves. But I don't think he's the best at putting pressure on the returns, standing 20 metres behind the baseline. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how that plays out. Carlos Alcaraz got a 3-set win over Corentin Moutet, the 32nd seed, 6-2, 6-4, 6-1. Phenomenal form, I think, from Carlos Alcaraz. I mean, I don't really know what to kind of add to that match in terms of this was close to US Open winning level last year from Carlos Alcaraz. It was very good. He didn't let the Moutet show kind of get in the way, and he was very clinical. De Minaur kind of looked in a different league to Francis Tiafoe, 6-3, 6-4, 7-5. That followed that Alcaraz match, very, very solid from De Minaur, and he's looking like a good force for the Australians, going into the latter stages of this tournament. Bublik kind of continuing this newfound form for him. He got a nice 3-set win over Thomas Martin Etcheverry. Again, not dropped a set all tournament. Kind of looks like this new player, which is great to see, because we know he's got the unpredictability, the chaos which he can bring to matches, but he's kind of dialing it back and just being consistent, being reliable, and then probably he's going to bring that in when he comes up against the matches he probably should be losing against him and Alcaraz, kind of throwing in a different variety, a different look.
Can't wait to see that.
Yeah. Tommy Paul against Fokina, 6-1, 6-1. To Paul, a real shame for Fokina. He's very injured from the start of this match. Not the match we wanted to see. He wasn't, in the form we wanted to see. Goyan Nori pick. He went out 4 sets to Alexander Zverev. Zverev's in very good form. 7-5, 4-6, 6-3, 6-1. And Tien, 3-set win over Borges, as well as Cerundolo getting a 3-set win over Rublev. Again, he just looked in a different kind of paradigm to Rublev. Carl, your takes on those kind of that rundown of matches on day 6, kind of any matches that stood out for you?
I would probably say the De Minaur and Francis Tiafoe match stood out for me. When I saw some of the highlights, this guy was playing extraordinary. I saw the encore interview from Tiafoe the match before, and he was so hyped when the interviewer showed him, "You're playing Alex De Minaur. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of crowds against you because Alex De Minaur's obviously from Australia, so he needed to go into this match firing." And I think he tried. Francis Tiafoe tried his absolute best, but De Minaur just on a totally different level. His movement is insane, and everything that he was just hitting was, I wouldn't say pure gold, because obviously there's players like Sinner and Alcaraz to compare that to, but yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah,
what do
exactly.
You think?
Exactly, like when you're watching that match, you think like, okay, De Minaur's on a different level to Tiafoe, and then you suddenly see him play Sinner play. You suddenly see De Minaur play against Sinner, and you're like, what? Like, how is it
Yeah, like,
Sinner being
how
able to
does
beat
this?
this
Yeah,
guy every single time, barely losing sets? It's like levels. It's like real levels in the sport.
definitely is. Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to see. I mean, very competitive, and I think De Minaur's hungry in this tournament. Very good against Francis Tiafoe, because Tiafoe looked like he was in good form and he looked like he wanted to kind of get some big wins, but yeah, stops in his tracks by a phenomenal Alex de Minaur. So that'd be interesting to see as the tournament progresses. So we probably should move on to the women's side of things and day 7. Again, I think the women's side of things, like we said before, like again, not much upsets really. Not much intrigue in terms of big seeds. They've all really kind of come through. And it's interesting, like Wimbledon last year, the upsets weren't just happening on the men's side of things, they were also happening very much on the women's side of things throughout the whole tournament, and it kind of does make you think that there is something that just goes around the grounds. If the seeds are very comfortable, then it tends to be the same on the women's side of things. If the seeds on the women's side of things are all dropping out like flies, it tends to be the same on the men's side of things. Like, it does seem like there is some sort of a contagious effect that happens at the slams, which is just fantastic to see. You can see how much they're all immersed in, into this event. And yeah, like I said before, like the fourth round onwards just looks like fantastic lineups. We've got fantastic matchups, and should make for some like phenomenal levels of tennis. But I think we should start on day 7 with Iga Swiatek, who did look a bit tested against Anna Kalinskaya. I mean, 3-6-1 set, 6-1, 1-6, 6-1. For Iga Swiatek, like phenomenal first set, phenomenal third set,
very up and down.
Second set, what happened? She basically dropped off a cliff. Yeah, I mean, it is stark how she does this. Like, Swiatek happens quite consistently, I'd say, and recent times very consistently. When she lost to Sabalenka at the French Open in the semis, like, in that final set, her form just capitulated. Like, her forehand was missing and spraying, errors everywhere. It happened at the WTA finals against Elena Rybakina. Like, final 2 sets just completely lost the plot in her game. It happened in the United Cup. Like, this happens consistently. And Carl, I think the main standout was the fact that she managed to turn that around. She managed to get back on track and like play some ridiculous tennis in that final set. Like, I think she kind of shocked herself with the level she played after such a poor second set.
Yeah, I don't know if the psychology's helping or hindering, because she does dip, but then she gets it back up. So it's kind of a tough one to say, but it's all mental. I think her level's obviously there. It's just the fact that why does her focus and concentration and everything just go all of a sudden? Like you said, it happens more so than not. And if it's happening too often, players are going to start to catch on, and once they see that dip, they're going to really pounce on that. And I think it did happen in this match, and maybe Kalinskaya tried to keep it going into the third, but then Swiatek snapped back, probably got some help from her team, and then just logged back in and won that set very comfortably again. So it's kind of funny, I guess, how she can turn it on and off, and maybe when she shouldn't be, or should be doing it as much as she can. And hopefully in the next rounds, now that she's into the round of 16 as well, she'll be really hoping to find that level of consistency that she's been wanting to. So yeah, obviously she's into that last 16. She's playing against Inglis from Australia, so another Australia clash with the fans as well. It's going to be a tough one. I think if I had to say Swiatek would have this one, it's probably, I don't know if I want to say it's going to be an easier match than Kalinskaya, because if someone like an unseeded player is winning and doing really well, you'd think that they can keep that going and wanna be so hungry, like you said, to get through these matches and to just beat these big players. And yeah, obviously English is the underdog, so she's gonna have so much more support. Swiatek is gonna be on the back foot with the crowd, and yeah, let's see what she does. And I'm still gonna back Swiatek though, because I just think her level can and is a lot better. It's just the fact that the mental side, can she keep it up throughout the entire match, Nick?
Yeah, like you said, Madison Inglis next, unfortunately. Inglis coming through against a retired Naomi Osaka. That match didn't even start. Walked over from the beginning. Real disappointment to see Osaka out because, I mean, the Osaka Swiatek matchup in the fourth round did look just so good. The first time we would have seen it since that extraordinary, like one of the matches of the last 5 years between Swiatek and Osaka at the French Open. So Inglis against Swiatek, the last remaining Australian on the women's side of things is Madison Inglis. No doubt she'll have huge crowd support, but you have to feel, even though that she's going to have crowd support, Swiatek is the major favourite for this match, and a pretty good draw, you have to say. A couple of other matches though, Carl. I think one that kind of stood out in terms of a round 4 match being set up was going to be between Madison Keys and Jessica Pegula. Keys got a nice win over Karolina Pliskova. Pliskova, I think did extremely well, kind of broke expectations to even get to this third round. Like phenomenal event for her, phenomenal tournament. And Pegula got a nice straight sets win as well, 6-3, 6-2, which means that they're going to be facing off against each other in the fourth round. Pegula Keys card in a fourth round of a slam. Like, what a match that we're going to have in a few days' time.
So early as well.
And two podcast co-hosts, which we don't like to. We're not going to plug any podcasts. So we won't reveal the name of the podcast, so you don't go and search and come off our podcast. But Carl, they're great friends, and like a tantalising matchup. The defending champion against like one of the players of the last 3 years or so, Jessica Pegula, and a matchup between two very top Americans as well. So that should be a fantastic one to see in a few days' time.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think they both had very comfortable wins. Obviously, Pegula 6 seed beating Selikin Mateva 6-3, 6-2, and then obviously you had Madison Keys beating Pliskova in straight 6-3, 6-3. So it's been smooth sailing so far for both of them. Madison Keys hasn't been tested as much as we'd like to see, and obviously same with Pegula. But I think probably more eyes are going to be on Madison Keys in this clash, just because of the fact that she is the reigning champion of the women's side of things. I think if we had to place it, it's a very difficult one because it could go anyone's way. I think they're both playing really well. Pegula's more consistent. Keys is more erratic, but she has some insane shots, some insane level. When the level's there, it is literally unbeatable, as we saw last year. I would have to maybe lean onto the side of probably Madison Keys just slightly because I think she's going to be really wanting to get this win. And Pegula, yes, I guess, but at the same time, she's also not, I guess, experienced it as much on the highest level of a final or something, but she'll still win it as well. So there's no calling this one. It's like a 50-50, 51-49 something kind of ratio here. But yeah, it's going to be a definite interesting one. Still, again, so many of the Americans in this later stage of the draw, and obviously them being the seeds, you'd expect them to properly go at it. So I hope that's going to be a great match, as we deserve to see some high quality level from the 6th seed and the 9th seed, obviously. Yeah, so there's also so many other US players who we're still yet to mention who did get the win in that day, with players like Anisimova and Coco Gauff as well. But yeah, we'll get on to that. But can't wait for this round of 16. It's probably going to be the best women's match so far, I think, in the tournament.
Yeah. A couple of other matches on day 7. Like you said, Carl, my under the radar title pick, Anisimova, coming through very comfortably against Peyton Stearns. I'm still confident about that prediction. Not going to go back just yet. Elise Mertens, a nice win as well against Bartenkova. I think Bartenkova struggling physically after that such a high of the previous round, beating Bencic 6-love, 6-4. We also had Rebecca, a very confident win against the young talent Teresa Valentova. Wang Jinyu got upset Linda Noskova 7-5, 6-4. Some good tennis from her, although Noskova not really playing her very best kind of first strike dominant tennis. Day 6, Carl, I think day 6, the story on the women's side for day 6 was big seeds coming through but surviving slight wobbles, like Sabalenka 7-6, 7-6 against Potapova, Gauff 3-6, 6-love, 6-3 against Baptiste. Svitolina came through a tight first set to beat Schneider. So I think like a lot of the top seeds, Carl, came through, but there were kind of big wobbles.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think they look like pretty good going into the next round, but like I think also like pretty. I think a pretty good thing for their runs, the fact that they have been tested. Like Sabalenka seriously tested against Potapova. Gauff looked in a bit of trouble against Baptiste, but then, brought her very best tennis in the latter two sets. And Baptiste is a fantastic player, but I also think like it's good for their runs to be able to be tested early, because then they're going to be fine-tuned going into the next matches. And again, I just think it creates an even more tantalising prospect going into the latter stages, Carl.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention about with Gauff. I was watching the first set fully, and Baptiste was 5-love up, and it was looking like hope was lost. Nothing was working for Gauff, and everything was working for Baptiste. And I kind of saw the momentum starting to shift after Gauff won those few games, and then once it went 6-3, I then thought, wow, Gauff was playing some very good tennis. She really backed it up in the second set, winning 6-love, and then obviously took the third as well, 6-3. Baptiste was out by then. And just some more good wins from players like, Svitolina beat Schneider 7-6, 6-3. I think that's one to really look out for. We did mention it on the preview podcast before the whole tournament had even started. But we said that Svitolina is probably one of the black horses of this tournament, as we think she has a very good chance, if she's on her level, to even win, as her level can be very good at times. And yes, it was a close one, again getting pushed, like you said, in the entire day. Schneider took her to a very tight 7-6, 7-3 and 6-3 in the second set, but she got over that one. And yeah, some other big, I would say, not upset, I guess upsets. We had what we said from the last podcast, when we had to guess what's going to happen in the next day. We said that Victoria Mbuku was going to beat Clara Towson, and Nick, our prediction was correct. We did get the right scoreline there, but it was a very close one. It was 7-6, 7-5. 5-7 to Clara Towson in the second set, and then 6-3 to Victoria Mbuku in the third. So I thought the level was incredible this match. She played so well, the Canadian, and I really do have high hopes for her to keep doing well in this tournament. But yeah, Nick, I don't know what you thought about that one, and is there anything else? Because yeah, we still have the big one of the day to go over, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, one we definitely did not predict was Jasmine Paolini. Out against Iva Jovic, the 29th seed, 6-2, 7-6 to Iva Jovic. Like, she's a player who broke into the top 100 last year. She debuted at each of the four slams last year. She is a player, Carl, of serious level and talent, like a fantastic mover, a fantastic ball striker, a fantastic athlete. And look, I mean, I think Paolini was slightly struggling some sort of way physically. She said that in her post-match press conference, and like I think she was very keen to give the huge amounts of credit to Iva Jovic, because she absolutely deserves it. Like, a phenomenal player is Iva Jovic, and someone I think we're kind of all predicting to make, I reckon, like, easily top 10 by 2026, the end of 2026. Like, she's a really exciting prospect, and she played extremely well. Look, Pauline was nowhere near her very best level, and I don't think that's a major surprise to kind of see Jovic at some point getting one of these fantastic wins like she did here. And yeah, I think it's a shame that we're going to see. We've seen Paolini lose quite early, because she's such a fun player, but also I think it's exciting that Jovic is kind of making her breakthrough now.
Yes.
And like a fantastic win for Jovic, and like I think she kind of stunned a lot of the people watching, because like she's got some talent as Iva Jovic, and it's gonna be interesting to see, watch that develop and see how far she can keep going in the Australian Open.
we could always kind of see potential from Iviovic, the American, as I thought that she played well in some matches and she was a consistent player, but just the level just kept needing to rise. And she's still young, yes, but now she's got to put in Saver in the round of 16. I honestly do back her to get through that one and get into the quarterfinals. This would be, her best tournament of her career. Obviously, getting to the Slam quarterfinals, and excuse me, if she does win, she will have to play the winner of Sabalenka and Victoria Mboko. Nick, that's going to be an incredible match. I think Sabalenka will get tested as much, if not more, as her previous match, and it's really setting up to be an interesting one because I wouldn't have guessed, that Paolini would have fallen to Iviovic so early, but obviously things happen. Maybe she was physically injured, maybe something else happened, maybe, Iviovic played extremely good tennis and just wiped her out the floor, which I think did happen for the most part. So just full credit for Jovic as well. Can't discredit anything from that. And let's see if she can just keep this level going with Putintseva, because she's also played some extremely high tennis to beat Somnes in the round of 32. She won in 3 sets, so a little bit grueling there. So we'll see how she recovers, see how she gets back. But now Jovic is a tough contender, and Nick, I might put my money on Jovic for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see if she can keep this kind of going. And it's going to be interesting to follow her the rest of her career and the rest of this run to see how far it can keep going, if she can keep getting more incredible wins, because she is a player that I think has the level and the talent and the ability to be able to keep, really reeling them off. Carl, a couple of other results. Andreeva, fantastic win against Rusa, continuing her undeniable form. We also had Putintseva against Zeynep Somnes, which was the match. If you look for vibes and if you look for drama in spice, then the match you wanted to watch was this match on the Kia Arena. I mean, Somnes had remarkable support throughout the whole thing, but Putintseva was willing to kind of take the whole crowd on, every single person in that stadium. It was like them against Putintseva, and somehow she managed to come through. That is the environment Putintseva thrives off. And if you haven't seen the celebrations, then I don't know how you haven't seen them, because they've been all over social media. But she really kind of leans into that, and it's just fantastic to see. Lovely, just love to see that kind of on a tour, someone just bringing fun and kind of bringing character onto the tour, which is just so refreshing to see. We also had Mukova, a 6-1, 6-1 win against Magda Linette, which is a fantastic performance from Mukova. And kind of we've seen so often that Mukova's been blighted by injury, but we know her top level is one of the very best in the tour. So hopefully she can kind of keep that going and kind of not be injured for a long period of time, which seems to kind of not happen in the career of Karolina Mukova, which is extremely sad thing to see. But Carl, that's kind of everything. That's every single match from day 6 and day 7. So Carl, we probably should, before we leave today, look ahead to the first day's action of round 4 play, starting on day 8 on the Rod Laver Arena. We're down to just 2 courts now for singles action. Just the Rod Laver Arena and the second court. Rod Laver starts with Sabalenka and Boku. Kind of, Kyle, one word predictions. Who's winning that?
Let's go Sabalenka for this one. Number 1 seed.
Yeah, Sabalenka. But I don't think she can bring the level she played against Potapova. I think she's got to be on it against Mboko. That's followed by Alcaraz against Tommy Paul.
I'm gonna go Alcaraz for this one. I think Alcaraz will take it. The level's higher there, so yeah, Alcaraz. Yeah,
I agree. Alcaraz, but again, 2 phenomenal movers and athletes, and that'll be a very fun one to see. But he always does get the better of Paul. Bublik against De Minaur, Carl.
This one's an interesting one.
It is.
We might have opposing views here again. I'm gonna go Bublik.
I agree. I'm gonna go Bublik as well. I just think his level so far, I don't see De Minaur stopping it, because he's, look, De Minaur played phenomenal against Tiafoe, but I think Bublik's Bublik's a better version of Tiafoe right now, and like a significantly better version than Tiafoe, and it's going to be a different kind of prospect for de Minaur. That's followed by the last match of the night session, Elina Svitolina against Andreeva, a real popcorn match this, Carl. Who's winning that?
I'm gonna go Svitolina, the Ukrainian. Yeah, let's go Svitolina for this one.
I'm going Andreeva. I'm going to back
Okay.
Andreeva, I think. But again, I could see Svitolina winning that. That is a really good match to watch. And it's fantastic time as well for viewing in the UK. So a good one to watch out for. Margaret Court Arena, Carl, starts for the singles action in the last match of the day session. Coco Gauff against Karolina Mukova. Who's winning that one?
Coco Gauff is going to get through it. It's going to be tough. It might go to 3. It might be a little scrappy, but I think Coco Gauff takes it.
Yeah, Coco Gauff, I mean, full form, full fitness. Mukova, I could see Mukova winning. I could see this being a very close and tough match for Gauff, but I'm gonna go Gauff, knowing what we know. Daniel Medvedev against Lerner Tien, the final match, a match you've seen so often last season. I think Medvedev won the last match in Shanghai potentially, but that is going to be a fantastic match. Carl, who's winning that one?
Well, I wonder who you're going to pick. I'm going to go for Medvedev. Yeah, let's go for the 11th seed. Come on, Medvedev. Let's get him through this one.
Yeah, big shock. I'm going Medvedev as well. I say those only matches in those two courts, but there is also 2 matches on the John Cain Arena, starting with Yulia Putintseva against Iva Jovic.
Yep, just mentioned this one. I think Iva Jovic is going to take this one, Nick.
Yeah, I agree, Jovic, but she does not want to get embroiled in the antics of Putintseva. No. The final match on John Cain Arena is Alexander Zverev against Francisco Cerundolo. Carl, who have you gone for in that match?
I feel like they're kind of got, I don't want to say the same playing styles, but it's going to be close, and I think Cerundolo's level is so high. But big moments, I think big time players, so I'm going to go Zverev for this one.
Well, I predicted this match to happen at the start of the tournament, and I predicted Cerundolo to beat Zverev, so I'm going to stick with that prediction. I think Cerundolo's going to beat Zverev. He's always kind of had Zverev's number, although he did lose the last one. But yeah, 2 fantastic forehands, 2 pretty good serves. Zverev's backhand's pretty poor. Cerundolo's backhand's not as good as his forehand. But like you said, Cole, similar playing styles, and it should be a good match as well. Like very good matches on day 8 of the Australian Open. So like relatively early on in the tournament, and we're already getting this lineup. Like, yeah, fantastic end it should be to the Australian Open. And of course, we'll cover it all here on the Chip and Charge Tennis Podcast. Thank you for hitting play on this episode. Thank you for downloading this episode. Thank you for giving us 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And thank you as well for subscribing to us on YouTube, liking this video. Make sure to follow us on all social media platforms as well. It really does help us out a lot. So yeah, if you can do that, then in the meantime, though, we will be back very shortly at the end of all of the action on day 8 and 9 at the Australian Open, after all of the action on round 4 at Melbourne Park. But for now, that is goodbye from the Chip and Charge Tennis Podcast.
Thank you.